right, hello everybody. Welcome to the next Vertify Rapid Chat. I'm really excited today to have a great conversation with Kevin. So we have Kevin from OneTrust. I'll let him do the intro and then we'll get into a few rapid chat questions. So Kevin, if you don't mind, just give us a little bit of background on you, your current roles, your responsibilities, and what you're into these days.
Yeah, great, Matt. Thank you for having me. Kevin Kiley, I'm Chief Revenue Officer at OneTrust. We are the leading provider of compliance solutions for companies around privacy, security, and risk. We've been through a tremendous amount of growth, something we'll talk about a little bit today, I think, scaling in just our 4 years and change to about 6,000, almost 7,000 clients, 1,500 employees, and really coming to dominate in a lot of really important segments of our market as sort of the clear leader. So a huge amount of growth in a short amount of time, and happy to talk a little bit about our experience with that today.
Cool, man. No, absolutely. And that's what I want to jump right into, man. And that is, look, Inc. magazine recently named OneTrust America's #1 fastest growing company. I think it's something like 48,000% growth over 3 years. Pretty crazy, man. So with that comes a lot of challenges, I'm sure, but a lot of opportunities. And this obviously didn't just happen by accident. So tell us a little bit about building a revenue team that is nimble enough to execute and scale this rapidly.
Yeah, well, we have been very fortunate to hire really, really well. And I will give a lot of the credit to that team that started with us 4 years ago and over time has evolved. And we as an organization have expanded quickly into new markets and adjacencies. And I think having everyone on that same wavelength of being ready to grow and stretch at all times has been a really important part of that. It's those early hires, of course, that help set the tone and really build the culture around them. As a leader, you're there to help, with minor calibrations, but really getting the right people on board from the beginning, setting the right ethos and sort of team culture is going to be critical. And fortunately, we had some terrific people that we've been able to just continue to build around and extend on.
That's killer, man. Look, I'm a people first kind of guy. I believe in that tremendously. And you can have great tech, you can have a great market opportunity, but it's the people that really help that grow and that thrive. So very cool. All right, so on to something else that's not as fun to talk about, but it's a reality, right? And that is all the different privacy regulations like GDPR, CCPA that have kind of been coming out of the last few years. So how are these regulations going to change the way we sell, we market, or we service customers in your mind?
Yeah. So these regulations, of course, no doubt about it, they're going to drive companies to do things a little bit differently. I am the first to always say, think about this though as something you want to do anyway, that we are seeing an evolution of attitudes and the way people think about how their data is being used, and just a greater awareness and concern around it, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or any of these other companies that have been collecting information, just a growing concern around how that data would be used and who owns it and what they do with it. So GDPR, going back to 2018, really started that. And now we've seen CCPA, as you mentioned, LGPD in Brazil just went live. A host of these regulations that have kicked off just in the last year. Here in the United States, we're tracking 15 different state level regulations that are at some form of passage. They're either in committee or they're in front of the legislature or they're on the ballots. So no doubt about it, there's more of this coming, not less. And anyone who's thinking they can sort of wait this out or take their chances with it, I'd say reconsider that approach. This is something that is happening globally, and the trend is going to continue. I think there's a good shot that we'll see some federal legislation ultimately, because it's just going to be too difficult to manage this at this California level versus the Connecticut level. Eventually, we'll see that patchwork start to come together. So for sales and marketing, I think the key considerations here again are how are you collecting the data? How are you contacting somebody? In Europe, if you look at what GDPR says, something as simple as signing up for a newsletter used to be a very simple form. Now, if I'm going to market you, if I'm going to continually send you things, I have to have true consent. And that moves from being this loose sort of conceptual idea of signing up for your weekly newsletter to a very specific legal mechanism. And if it's going to be valid, it has to have certain elements to it to make sure that we've done that right. Again, ultimately, this all comes down to respecting the individual and hey, if I'm going to be contacting you, if I'm going to be collecting information on you, I've got to be doing this in a way that you're probably comfortable with. And that's really at the heart of what the law says, is that your information is yours. Companies can use it with your permission.
Sure, sure. Ethics in data, right? I mean, that's great. But I think looking at it as you should want to do this is very important as well. So maybe that is the opportunity. But let me ask the question and let's see what you think. So with change comes opportunity. Oftentimes, I like to find opportunity in everything. So how do you think these regulations will drive innovation in kind of the MarTech space? What is the opportunity there from your perspective?
You just hit the nail on the head. I think it's more of a give to get, right? So let's find out how we get this from being a zero-sum equation where I'm taking your private data and you're getting nothing for it in return other than more marketing from me.
Yep.
To look, you're going to share a little bit more with me about what you're interested in and maybe what you're working on, and I'm going to use that in a way that adds value to deliver communication and perhaps marketing that is going to be more focused on what's really relevant to you. I'm not going to waste your time by flooding your inbox with a bunch of stuff you
100%.
don't care about. Let's find a way to really make this bespoke to your interests and give you something that is, again, more efficient, more valuable because of it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Absolutely. And as a marketer, I can relate in a big way. Very cool. Well, last thing, final word of advice. This is kind of a word of wisdom thing. So younger generations can kind of learn from you, but what things should younger sales and marketing professionals be doing today in their positions for success, to find success, more success, that kind of stuff?
Big question here. I think, again, staying flexible and trying to continually stretch yourself, learn, reach beyond sort of what you're doing today. Even if you're successful, too often we can become compliant with some of these sort of where we are and complacent, with where we are. Continue to try to find new areas for yourself to grow, no matter how well you're performing. Know that there's always a new book you can pick up and try to hone your skills a bit more with. Look to your peers across industries. I love it when I hear salespeople getting together to really talk about their craft in a way where they're swapping ideas. They're, again, maybe sharing the latest book that one of them read. Too few people early in their sales and marketing career are really thinking about this as their craft that's going to guide them through their career and putting a level of sort of focus and attention into refining their skills.
Yep. Yeah, no, great. Always be learning. I think if I can just add to that, you never get to a point in your career where you should not be learning. If you have, then you need to be go do something else.
And start over. Yeah.
Start over. So absolutely always be learning. And then I'll add to that as well and say, early on, start to dig into the data and get a grip of the data as well, because that's where we're headed as a society. So very cool, Kevin. I appreciate your time. Any last words from you before we go?
No, really happy to be here, man. I appreciate the invite and hope I've added something for any of your audience. Certainly, we would be interested in supporting anyone's sales and marketing efforts. We've got a host of options here that we can offer that help addressing some of these issues of compliance that we touched on today.
Very cool, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Go check out OneTrust, and Kevin, we'll talk soon.
Thanks very much for having me. Bye-bye.